it's another episode of the Main Street Randy Land YouTube channel. We're back again. Oh my gosh, we're going around looking at stuff, and I look over here and I see I got some air conditioning units that, these could come in handy because they were from the Big Top Carnival of Fun multi-level extravaganza, which I had to move out of abruptly when they condemned the building. But then I see I've got an old wooden box. When it's a wooden box, that means it's old because they used to use wooden boxes for parts. And here's some big, giant, I bet they're 400. Yep, 400 amp fuses. Look at that. These are giant fuses that you would have to stick in your box. There's a couple of them. These are what they used to call renewable, but these are one-time fuses. You see that they're non-renewable, but I bet they would be because they got screws on them. And it used to be that you could open these and replace the little filament inside that would be surrounded by all these asbestos beads that were probably toxic. And I remember, soldering a couple of these back together again inside and, using them. God help me. I mean, that's what happens when you don't have money to buy new ones and all that stuff. But, this was some operator's old a chisel and stuff like this. This looks like it's a speed control, maybe from a lathe with a motor on it. But, this is the stuff you got. But look, you know what those are? Can you see the handle? Those are the backs of Jennings. I think those are 700s or 400s. I can't tell from the back. But those are Jennings slot machines. They were originally casino games, and then they were converted for use for the arcades and the boardwalks. And I got lots of slot machines. As a matter of fact, I'm leaning on some right here. These are slot machines also. Now, interestingly enough, the first one on the line, this is a Game Plan 5-liner. This slot machine was built just for the arcade use. It was not used in the casino ever. It was made for an arcade. Well, what's the difference? They have skill stop buttons, you see? And the button would stop the reels. Now, in the casino, you don't have that. Typically, at least you never did in the beginning, that you pull the handle, the reels would spin, the reels would stop, and the prize would be decided upon the outcome of the reel. But in New Jersey, to be a legal game, it had to have players' skill. So these were called skill stop buttons. I bet it even says it on there. Does it say it? Skill stop. You see that? That was important. They had to actually label it as such in the beginning. That ended quick. They didn't label them after that. Now, this was not the first slot machine that was made for the boardwalk. But this was made for the boardwalk. It was probably the first solid-state game that was made for the boardwalk. And there's not a lot to it. The board is not in it. It's got to be around someplace, but the computer board would be on the side. This would be filled with tokens, and it's oversized. You see here, this is the original size of the hopper, but they cut it, and they extended it, and they took the back part, which went there, and put on the sheet metal to make it bigger so you could put more tokens in it. Because real slot machines, the coins that you play go into it, and then they're recycled out, and only the extra coins would go down the hole for the profit bin. Well, in the arcades, there is no profit bin because the tokens are worth less than a coin. So there would be no, coins that would come back into it because you're putting quarters in and, tokens are coming out. So it was made bigger to hold extra tokens so you didn't have to fill it up so much. You got a power supply in the back. The board was here. The optics were there. The top was pretty much empty, just a display board. These were very expensive when they first came out. And it's done with optics. You see the cuts on the reels. You see how they're different shapes? Well, there would be an optic board on the top that would read the formation of the reel. That's how it knew the symbol. And that was all in the computer program as to decode what pattern came through on the optics to know what symbol was. Now, this is a 5-liner, and that's the actual name of it, 5-liner on the top. Because on the glass here, you see there are lines. Dirty, but there's lines. First line, right across the middle, that's what you got for 1 coin. But if you put in 2 coins, you got 2 lines. 3 coins, you got 3 lines. Then you had, the 4th line and the 5th line. And there was usually a jackpot if you got the 777 on the 5th line to encourage you to put in 5 coins every time you played. So slot machines were real big in the arcades when they first started because there were no slot machines. Now, this was not the first type of slot machine in an arcade. I know that because I was in the arcade business, but also because it has a handle. You see that? Now I got the handle stuck. Thank you. The ratchet is stuck. There it goes. You were not allowed to have a handle on skill slot machines because it was too much like a slot machine. Later, they relaxed that and they allowed you to have the handle. So this is probably one of the first ones that had a handle. Those Jennings, they have handles because they came from the casinos. But again, they weren't the first ones on the boardwalk. First ones were actually super skiers. Super skier? Like a skier going down? Yeah, super skiers. That was the symbol. That was the big jackpot, the skier. So they had the super skiers. And it was made not by a big company. And they were made for the amusement industry. And they were very plain, kind of bluish as I remember with the glass. And it just had the 3 buttons, a start button and the 3 buttons. And they were a big hit. Then they came out with improvements. Then Bally came out with one. Big Bally. Made just for the arcade. It was called the Bally Big Prize. These were mechanical slot machines. Perfect for the arcades. Cams, relays, rotors, steppers, all the stuff that works forever. And they were great. And they made a lot of money. But the problem was the skill stop. Okay? Because when you can push the button and stop that reel, it really is skill. And you had people who were too good. And they could see. Some people said, well, you blink your eyes really fast so you can see like a movie going by. They could see the 7s or the bars going by on the reels. And they could stop it, and get the jackpots a lot. Not every time, but a lot. To the point that it was not profitable to run the game. They were killing you. They were killing you. So operators made a little rule and they put a little tag on the top of the machine that said limit, 2 bars wins a day or 1777, which was the big jackpot per season. Well, now how do you enforce that? You see? So now you got to go over, you got to get somebody's name if they win, and then if they win again, you got to check the file. It's problematic. So skill stops, when it's based on skill, can be too much skill. You can be too good at it. So what they came up with was a little delay. So when you push the button, then the reel would stop. But it would be pretty quick. It would be button stop, button stop. So you couldn't see it, stop it. That delay would throw you off. And it really helped them out. Then the delays became randomized. So it wasn't always the same amount of time for the delay. Push it, stop. Push it, stop. Push it, stop. So it was a little different. As long as the player was controlling the stop by pressing the button to start the stop sequence, that was acceptable by the state because it is a game of skill, because the player is doing it. It's not pull the handle, the machine is stopping the reels. Today, the computer is controlling the whole thing. With the advance of technologies, those reels that are spinning for decades already, the machine knows exactly where that reel is. Example, the early games that were mechanical, it had a spring launcher that would fling, causing the reels to free spin. They would stop. Then they got into a motor, which they had to add because with the state laws, they had to spin for at least 10 seconds before the machine would stop it. But it was just a motor, and it was just turning. Eventually, they became stepper motors. And I think there were some reels laying around here. Here's a reel. This reel has a motor. The motor turns the reel. Very simple. All right, skill stop, stop. This is a bar ghost game. So it could stop on bar, it could stop between, double bar, 7. There's a triple bar. The difference here is that's not just a regular motor. That's a stepper motor. And that's where things change. Now, you can't feel it because you're obviously on a video screen. But if I turn this, see that? They're actually turning in little notch steps. If that was a regular motor, it would just spin around. You hear that? Little steps. Now, you see at the top here, this little piece of plastic? That little piece of plastic there is going to pass through this optic on the top. That tells the machine it's at the home position. Now, the computer knows exactly how many steps it takes for this reel to get around back to the top. And the computer program knows how many steps it is for, let's say the window is here, for this bar to be in the window. It knows how many steps it would be for this to be here. How many steps? So now you've opened the door for the computer to count steps. It's not just energizing the motor. It's pulsing the motor. It's pulsing the motor very fast, so it looks like it's spinning. Pulse, really, really fast. But it's counting every time. And when it counts, it can now decide to stop it where it wants to stop it. So when you push the button, it's going to stop. But the computer will decide, do I want it to stop on the bars? Do I want it to stop higher? Do I want it to stop lower? The computer decides. The state says that's okay because the customer is pressing the button to stop it. Well, that's okay if the computer doesn't decide where to stop it. But now, and for the last couple decades, they have predetermined where they're going to stop. This started in the casinos. Now it's been in the amusement industry for probably 20 years. And the state says, as long as you're running your percentage, that it's going to have winners and it's going to pay out the winners, that's okay. Because if it's going to lose, it doesn't matter if it loses here or loses there, or it gives you what they call a near miss. If the 7 is near, it's a near miss. Teaser. Because you're going to lose anyway. As long as you're going to have winners and it's going to pay out winners, that's okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay because it's no longer a game of pure skill. Computer's deciding. You know, the only really fair game that is in operation on the boardwalk that I can think of off the top of my head is Fascination. You roll the ball goes in the hole. You see it go in the hole, it lights the light. You see what everybody else is doing around you. There's nothing hidden. But the computer is not showing you what it's set for and how many steps and what the percentages are. So it's an evolution unfortunately corrupted by man and technology, just like everything else in the world. And it starts with slot machines. It started in the casinos, but it's been in the arcade business for many decades already. All the games, those stacker games and all the other things. I mean, anything that the computer can control the turning of something, it can stop it where it wants. It knows where it's at all times. It's spinning, but it knows exactly where it's at. You don't. Machine does. So, I don't play slot machines. I don't play cranes. I don't play anything that is of that nature. Now, if you're playing it because you just want to have fun, that's fine. Because you're having fun. That means you're winning. But if you're playing because you want the prize, that's a problem. You shouldn't be playing because you want the prize. You should be playing because it's fun. If you're not playing because it's fun, you're playing for the wrong reason. But people don't know that. They're not educated to it. And this goes on. And New Jersey has very strict gaming rules. Most states have none. Can you imagine what goes on there? There are games like these slot machines. They have a program chip that is manufactured by the manufacturer for the state of New Jersey because it was certified by the Gaming Commission that would be permissible. that program is permissible. But in other states, they don't have that chip. They have a different chip. What's the difference? What's in the other chip that New Jersey said would not be permissible? I don't know. Something, obviously. Something that New Jersey said's not okay. But other states, they don't care. So it's a problem. I'm the purist. I'm the purist, the old amusement guy who does things for the legitimacy of operations. But that is not the world anymore. So you don't see a lot of slot machines on the boardwalk anymore. I think because people have, grown to learn about them. But you see a lot of cranes and a lot of other games. And it all works on a similar principle because it's computer controlled. As soon as you give the computer control of where it's going, it opens the door for problems. So that's a long one. That's a story for you. And it all started with slot machines. And there's lots of them here, many different models. And now you got a big education on what to do and how to play on the boardwalk or anyplace else. From the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. Wasn't that fun? I knew you'd enjoy it. See you next time. Bye, guys.